reasonsquared.com.
We can start our debate arguing for the motion, the war on terror was the right response to 9/11. Pervez Musharraf, who was president of Pakistan from 1999 until 2008, and of course he was a crucial figure in the war on terror, particularly when it came to the invasion of neighboring Afghanistan. General Musharraf, your time starts now, and if you exceed it, I shall be ringing my bell to give you a minute's notice.
Terrorism is a curse, a scourge that is devastating peace in the world. Terrorism in the name of religion is more devastating because it evokes the misperception of clash of civilizations. The motion before us this evening, ladies and gentlemen, is the war on terror was the right response to 9/11. I strongly maintain that it was absolutely the right response, and I therefore shall speak in favor of the motion. The first point that I would like to make is that we must not succumb to the fallacy that since we do not appear to be winning in Afghanistan, therefore the war on terror was a mistake. I think this would be most illogical. The correctness of the war on terror has to be based solely and only on the logic of right and wrong, irrespective of whether we are winning or losing in Afghanistan or anywhere else in the world. In September 2001, ladies and gentlemen, the world leaders, and I happen to be one of them, had to decide whether fighting the war on terror would make the world a safer place to live in. I then believed, and still do believe, that we had and continue to have even now a responsibility to act decisively to root out terrorism. We need to be clear that the call for action was certainly not based on the single incident of 9/11. I would also like to answer another question. Is the spread of terrorism the result of our response to 9/11? Certainly not. Terrorism was a cancer that was spreading since long and needed to be arrested. In fact, had we not acted, it would have spread like wildfire. The proof of this statement that I've given just now lies in the revelations from the interrogation of key Al-Qaeda figures like Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. Several plans to target sensitive installations in the West in various stages of maturity were revealed through this interrogation. 9/11, in fact, was the catalyst, the culmination of a series of increasingly bloody terrorist outrages, which finally tipped the scales against the prevalent law enforcement approach. It roused universal condemnation and forced the strong action against terror. Several terrorist attacks, especially in Beirut in 1993, killing 299 people, the first bombing of the World Trade Center in New York in 1996, the bombing of the the bomb attack in Dhahran in Saudi Arabia in 1996, then the bombing of US embassies in Kenya and Tanzania in 1998, the attack on USS Cole in the year 2000, plus several incidents of hijacking of ships and aircrafts must not be forgotten. We thus witnessed the gradual build-up of terrorism. Therefore, the war on terror was a foregone conclusion and had to be launched. the terrorist design perhaps was to wage a campaign of vicious international terror in order to provoke a massive retaliation between their own brand of radical, fundamentalist, and obscurantist Islam and the rest of the world, justifying the erroneous theory of clash of civilizations. Ladies and gentlemen, terror has to be defeated. There is no running away from it. The destructive power of the explosive and the viciousness of the suicide bombers who bring misery to people at large, to innocent people at large, has to be combated. There is no quick fix solution to it other than showing perseverance, determination, and courage to accept casualties. Al-Qaeda has to be contained, if not eliminated, for the sake of global peace. The coalition response to the 9/11 outrage was unavoidable and also correct. But perhaps, maybe it was short-sighted and incomplete in application. Merely the military application against the war on terror is a complete misperception of realities on the ground. Holistically, the war on terror has three fronts: the military, the political, and the socio-economic. We have a tendency to overuse the military instrument, to pay lip service to the socio-economic, and almost ignore the political element. It is this short-sightedness of the past that perhaps saved Al-Qaeda from defeat. I have two arguments to justify this statement that I have just made. Firstly, had the world recognized the Taliban after 1996, when they controlled more than 90% of Afghanistan, maybe we could have moderated them from within. I am quite sure that the Buddha statue at Bamiyan could have been saved, and maybe also the Osama bin Laden impasse could have been resolved with his deportation from Afghanistan, if only the whole world community was capable of exerting collective pressure on the Taliban from inside, from within Afghanistan, through all the diplomatic missions in Kabul. Unfortunately, our impatience with a perfect democracy and a well-crafted human rights environment denied us an opening for a political resolution which could have nipped the evil in the bud. Now, coming to the second missed political opportunity. The aftermath of the military success of the 9/11 response had to be capitalized with the shift and the application of the political instrument. Al-Qaeda and their abettors, the Taliban, were defeated, were militarily defeated, and they were in total disarray. Their organizational and command structure was dismantled in Afghanistan, and they ran helter-skelter into the mountains and cities of Pakistan. At this moment, there was a vacuum, a political vacuum in Afghanistan, which persisted almost till early 2004 for 2 long years. This 2-year window of opportunity was available for exploiting by switching from the military to the political instrument to bring final peace into Afghanistan. This meant weaning away the Pashtun from the Taliban and putting them in the dominant authority in government in Kabul. Unfortunately, we continued to govern Afghanistan with the dominance of the 8% minority Panjshiri Tajik element to the estrangement of the 50% majority Pashtun ethnic entity. The Pashtuns therefore found themselves alienated and more aligned towards the Taliban, whose resurgence started in 2004 and continues even now. A truly representative national government, which gave proportional representation to all the ethnic groups, could have brought peace into Afghanistan and maybe also ousted Al-Qaeda. Ladies and gentlemen, the complexity of terrorism has increased now. There are terrorist groups in Afghanistan, in Pakistan, in India, East Turkestan Islamic movement in China, Al-Qaeda in Islamic Maghreb based around Algeria and Mali, Al-Qaeda in Arab Peninsula centered around Yemen and Somalia. We have to isolate each one of these and defeat them in detail. The nexus of all these groups will be catastrophic for the world. Their center of gravity lies in Afghanistan and the tribal agencies of Pakistan. We have to defeat them at the center of gravity. Losing here means defeat elsewhere and everywhere. This indeed is a tall order, but it has to be accomplished to make the world a better place to live in. We cannot quit, leaving an unfinished job, an unstable Afghanistan. Shying away from a sustained, strong international response to terrorism would be a blunder which our future generations will not pardon. Nothing short of a war against terror will guarantee their future. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, may I say that we can criticize, we can disagree with the conduct, with the execution, with the handling of the war on terror, but the world cannot absolve itself from its collective responsibility of fighting and defeating the war and defeating terrorism in the world. Thank you very much.